I learned something incredibly meaningful this year through some hard lessons. It may have been one of my hardest years yet for reasons that I may not be able to explain. The saying burning your candle on both ends seems to be the most likely analogy for how I felt by the end of the year. So, starting this new year, I am taking a new approach, and I want to share that with you today. With Christmas being one of my most favorite times of year, a time when things are festive and bright and the energy's high, so much beauty to be made and found and created, I intended to make so much more content than I was able to put out. Instead of bustling with creativity, I found myself thoughtless, without a poem in my mind or heart, without knowing what to share or having anything to share at all. I realized what I really needed was a moment to self-care. And that's not a phrase I like to use very often. I realized that my feelings of frustration and lack of creativity, and even lack of some happiness, was because I have been unkind to myself, withholding rest, even hobbies and things that bring pleasure to my life. So this year, I'm starting out the new year by being kind to myself first. The first thing that I'm going to start doing this year is doing what's best for my body, even when it feels hard. And I know that I will benefit emotionally and mentally from getting enough sleep, getting some healthy exercise, walking the property more, getting fresh air, and eating good whole foods. One way we can be kind to ourselves is listening to the needs of our bodies. And I'm not talking about listening to that hankering for chocolate cake, but I'm talking about doing the things that are hard, like going to bed at a decent hour, even when you feel like you just need some alone time because you've been with the kids all day, and eating food that will actually energize you and give you strength to power through the day. And in the end, you will be happier. So even though this is a time of dieting and cutting out lots of sugars and things from your diet, I am not going to punish myself, but I am going to turn to those things that are going to give me more strength throughout the day, sustain me longer. I do want to avoid high processed foods, high processed sugars if I can, but I find that my body loves whole grains and legumes, protein, lots and lots of vegetables. And that makes me feel full of energy, and it helps me balance out my emotions. And then I don't even feel like I'm really withholding myself from good and delicious things. Everyone has the same amount of hours in the day. We just all use it a little bit differently. But that being said, I think the modern woman today has more responsibilities and is busier than ever, even with all of the modern conveniences of today's world that help us do our chores and do all the things. We switch from task to task so quickly that it can make you dizzy. My days are filled with keeping my house from falling apart, trying to keep it clean, and teaching 3 children homeschooling. And then you can throw in my own business that I run at home, my YouTube channel, church responsibilities, and helping with the homeschool co-op. I just forgot to prioritize pleasure and times to rest and enjoy myself and do things that I really like. So during this time that I haven't been making videos during Christmas, I've been reading more. I've been reading a vintage old Christmas stories book, country living magazines, and Little House on the Prairie with my daughter. I've been watching some of my favorite shows and discovered a new YouTube channel that I like.
And I'll sing Yankee Doodle, and I'll sing Yankee Doodle Doo Doo. all sing Yankadoodle.
Ma sat in her rocking chair, sewing by the light of the lamp on the table. The lamp was bright and shiny. There was salt in the bottom of its glass bowl with the kerosene to keep the kerosene from exploding. And there were bits of red flannel among the salt to make it pretty. It was pretty. Laura loved to look at the lamp, with its glass chimney so clean and sparkling, its yellow flame burning so steadily, and its bowl of clear kerosene colored red by the bits of flannel. She loved to look at the fire in the fireplace, flickering and changing all the time, burning yellow and red, sometimes green, above the logs and hovering blue over the golden ruby coals. My fourth goal is to stop measuring myself against others, to stop comparing myself to those around me and those who are doing similar things to me. And that leads me to my last goal, which is to lead with my own light. Lead with the strengths that God has given me. Let your natural gifts and light that God gave you be the guide in your life. And don't compare your weaknesses and failures to the strengths of others. I think women can be so unkind to themselves by constantly comparing ourselves and seeing what we're not doing. So find ways to keep your light burning and illuminate the world with the gift and light that God gave you. Tonight is New Year's Eve, and I have a couple of sourdough ideas that I wanted to try out. Right now I'm putting together a garlic herb butter candle. I have a little organic beeswax wick that I'm going to use. I put a little paper clip on the bottom and one on top, put it right into the freezer, and we'll see how that turns out. I've had my sourdough going and fermenting throughout the day, and we are going to be making some snacks and appetizers. We're just going to have a couple of people over. It's going to be very quaint. I love these personal settings when you get to know others on a more quiet and personal level. We're dipping pretzels in white chocolate and having meats and cheeses, crackers, a sourdough ranch dip, a little bit of fruit, vegetables, and popcorn, and of course some of our sourdough that we're going to be fixing up here next. Tonight we're playing board games and eating snacks and ending the night early. The party will be over by 9 p.m. I know I'm kind of an old lady like that. I don't like to stay up late on New Year's. I just am not very happy without very much sleep. So we're going to start the new year off right by hopefully getting some adequate sleep. The second sourdough appetizer that we're making is a stuffed sourdough loaf filled with melted brie and cranberry sauce. So I just used the little container that the brie came in to measure out the hole that's going to go in our sourdough and slice down the side so that people can just pull apart the bread, dip it in the cheese and the cranberry sauce. And it was such a fun idea. I thought it turned out really nicely, especially with all the melty cheese in the middle. If you're not a brie fan, what other cheeses could you put in the center of this sourdough loaf? I thought maybe you could do a mixture of mozzarella and Parmesan, Gouda. If you have some good ideas, go ahead and put them down in the comments below and let me know what you did for New Year's Eve. What are some traditions that you have? Or tell me something that you're excited about for this new year. What are some of your goals that you've set? Or just some thoughts that you've had about the new year. I'm going to bake this off in the oven at 350 degrees for about 20 to 30 minutes, just until it's all melty in the center, nice and toasty. Just keep it from burning on the bottom. One epiphany that I had recently was that I've been holding myself back from doing some things that I've been wanting to try, which is funny since I am the girl of trying many new things. I am not afraid to try a new recipe, experiment a little bit. In fact, this whole butter candle is a total experiment. I had no idea if it was going to work or not, but I find that I have been holding myself back from trying some bigger things. Maybe some things here on YouTube that I want to share with you, for fear that it might not turn out exactly as I hoped. In a way, I can be a bit of a perfectionist and I have an idea of how I want things to look and appear. Well, part of being kind to myself this year is to stop holding myself back and allow myself to grow and move forward with some of those bigger things that I want to do. And just to let you know, I think the wick was maybe too small for this candle. Maybe a larger wick would allow it to burn longer. In fact, the candle didn't stay lit at all, and I ended up putting it in the oven to melt the butter. So that was a little bit disappointing, but it was worth the try. I feel like not everything you see on Instagram is real. Not all the ideas work exactly the way they make it appear online. So I'll just be honest with you and tell you that you need a larger wick. Maybe you could try that, or you could just try putting it in the oven and melting all of that butter. And it was really fun to tear off these pieces of bread and dip them in the center. And everyone really enjoyed it, especially the garlic butter herb. Happy New Year to you all, and join me with illuminating the world with the light that's inside of you. Be careful not to burn yourself out, and I'll see you next week for a new video. Love you lots.